6 runs.
Good evening and welcome to the Cricket Carnival here on NewsX. I'm Sanjeev Mukherjee. The Maharashtra leaders are not yet back from their junket, but it's time for the Maharashtra derby. It's Mumbai Indians versus the Rising Pune Supergiants. One wonders how much will they rise finally in IPL 10. It's time for qualifier number 1. And joining me on this show tonight, right here with me in the studios, Anshuman Gaikwad, former Indian cricketer and somebody who's played a fair bit of cricket, although he knows much more about the modern game than many who talk about the modern game presently. Also joining me on the satellite link, interestingly from Mumbai himself, is Shishir Hatangadi, former Mumbai Ranji captain, somebody who does not hold back when it's needed. Good evening and welcome to both you and Anshuman and Shishir. But before we get to you guys, what are we looking at? Yes, it's qualifier number 1. Mumbai Indians will be thirsting for revenge in a sense, because if you look at the record between a Mumbai and a Rising Pune Supergiants, Pune have beaten Mumbai 3 times out of 4. In fact, this season they've beaten them twice. Will it be a third time lucky for the Rising Pune Supergiants, or will Mumbai make sure that when it's the Wankhede, there can only be one boss? Let's now listen in first to Ajinkya Rahane before we start off the conversation.
I feel the team effort. I mean, if you've seen, everyone has contributed in all the games. I think starting from Tripathi, Smith, Stokes, what is 100. Mahibai played a crucial knock against Sunrisers Hyderabad. So in bowling attack, as I mentioned, everyone chipped in between. So Imran Tahir was really good for us. So I think team effort was brilliant throughout these 14 matches, and I feel in coming playoffs we have to continue this momentum and play together.
Right, we just heard from Ajinkya Rahane. Anshuman Gaikwad at the outset, records don't do much. It's not about momentum, as they say in T20 cricket. It's about moments. Specifically, Pune have a fairly superior record against Mumbai Indians. But when it comes to qualifiers, Mumbai Indians are completely a different beast.
Well, it all depends. You look at basically T20, 20 overs, anything can happen. On a given day, who plays better cricket? It could be, both the sides, like we talk about Pune and Mumbai. I think both are good, and they've proven themselves. Mumbai being consistently successful, and they're on the top of the table. And so is Pune. They have picked up themselves very well, and they've got the momentum with them. But as you rightly said, let's see what happens on the moment.
Exactly.
And that is what we need to see today, because the pressure is going to be on Mumbai, because they're playing at home. They are topping the table. They want to go out there and win this match and be there in the finals. And Pune is somebody who's playing almost like a second fiddle to Mumbai, though they have beaten them twice this year. But they have the momentum. They might upset Mumbai and try and be there at the top.
And not only that, you just said it yourself at the top, Anshuman, that a little bit of pressure there on Mumbai, because first of all, they have a burden of expectations. They have won the IPL before, so their fans, their supporters, they expect the team to win, as Absolutely. Is always the case in team sport. But more importantly, Pune, this could be their second last or third last game. This is actually the second last or third last game, because after this season there is no Rising Pune Supergiant, so they can go for the kill. They know they have 2 chances, but they have perhaps more of a free spirit going to this game.
No, not only that, Sanjay, but I feel that, besides that what you said, I'd like to add something here, is Rising Pune is playing for the first time in this second season, and they are there. They have come from behind. They've beaten everybody, and they are at number 2. Now that is something, which is very creditable. And they would like to now go and finish it, not leave it halfway, because let it go a waste.
Right. There's a lot to talk about. I believe Shishir has joined us back. Shishir, good evening. Welcome back. Interestingly, you seem to be there in the maximum city yourself, where the Wankhede is all set to host Mumbai Indians versus the Rising Pune Supergiant. We were just chatting about the fact that Mumbai Indians, of course, home fortress, but people expect them to win. They won this title a couple of times before, so there will be a fair bit of pressure. On the other hand, Pune have done exceedingly well, have come out of nowhere, and this is the last season. This could be the second last or the third last game, depending on the outcome. So perhaps they would be going there with perhaps fresher minds and less of burden, Shishir.
Yes, it's like the third last waltz, Sanjeev. You know, you have the last waltz, but this is the third last. And I think they're playing against a few odds. One is I can only see sea of blue, just blue everywhere at the Wankhede. And of course, the fact is they have beaten Mumbai twice this season. Now that's a huge achievement for a team that is, you could class them as reticent underdogs, but they've won it twice. So they'll have every reason to believe that this year is a year that they could beat them 3 times. Only thing they will have to combat is the crowd support and the fact that the toss is going to be probably a little crucial in this game. But having said that, I think Pune have done themselves no wrong in reaching so far and have given a great account of themselves. They have every reason to be proud of, but this is home territory, and you know, this is where the challenge is.
This is where the challenge is, and we'll come to the individual teams and just wish that we get to know who's batting first. So accordingly, we'll separate our discussion. But as far as the toss is concerned, Anshuman, Stephen Smith did call it heads, but it's a tail, which means that Mumbai Indians have won the toss and will field, which means they will be setting themselves. They'll like to chase. Yeah. What do you make of that?
Yeah, well, they have been chasing well, you know, so far, and they have been doing well. They don't want Pune to chase. They would like to have a target to themselves. And Pune also has been chasing well. Let me tell you that. And they have the experience.
Yeah.
They have the experience in the middle order. You have Dhoni, you have Smith, Tripathi is doing well, Manoj Tiwary is there. You talk about, you know, the batsmen that they have done well, which has helped them to go to this level. And they would rather not give them to chase. They would probably want a target to themselves and pace it out.
Right, and you know, one of the headlines ahead of the match was that this is perhaps the clash between the best slog overs batting unit, which is Mumbai Indians, versus the best death bowling unit, which is Pune. But unfortunately for the timing, we'll have to stick with the Pune batting because they're going to bat first. You know, looking at the fact that, yes, Pune go into, you know, they will be without Ben Stokes, who's been an outstanding performer. He's given you value for money. As Shishir says sometimes, his wage packet, he's completely made sure his owners know that, hey, listen, we are paying him so much of money and he's justified it. They'll be without Stokes and Tahir, but they'll be perhaps looking at Adam Zampa to get those variations. But how do you replace a player like Stokes? He's like 2 players. He's not one player. He's like 2 players.
Yeah, yeah. But he's, you know, Ben Stokes is not only when you talk about IPL, when you talk about the entire world cricket. Ben Stokes is such a player that he is well known all over the world when international cricket. And he's probably one of the best available. And he's a match winner. Let's not forget that. So he not being there is very unfortunate for Pune, because they would certainly like to have him at this stage of the tournament.
Right.
But, well, you know, nobody is indispensable in cricket, as they say. I feel that somebody will step in his shoes and try and, you know, deliver, because this is not actually an individual game, though he is a match winner. Agreed. Right. There's no this thing about it. But it's a team game. Rahane also just mentioned, we heard him, it's a team game. Team has to contribute, and I'm sure they will come up to the occasion.
Surely they'll come up to the occasion. On the other hand, Shishir, if you look at the Pune batting versus the Mumbai bowling right there at the top, I'll request my producer to put up those figures. You know, this is a thing about the Mumbai Indians bowling. The Jasprit, Bumrah and Mitchell Mc Clenaghan, while bowling in the power play at the Wankhede, although they seem to be a little expensive, but they do manage to take wickets. On the other hand, if we have Bumrah and Mc Clenaghan also, when they bowl at the death overs at the Wankhede, they do take wickets. The important thing is that they seem to have the knack of breaking partnerships, Shishir. But this time, they're up against a very, very different team. That's number one, who are in their first ever playoffs. And secondly, tell us, Shishir, about the way Rahul Tripathi has held his bat in this particular IPL.
Sanjeev, Rahul has held his bat very well, hasn't he? A very unknown kind of player, you know, first class average of almost 32, went through the selection process, you know, he went for trials and got picked. He went couple of years, got rejected, came back this year and obviously has been accepted and embraced the opportunity. So one of the great finds of this IPL in that sense, you know, I mean, he was definitely not on talent scouts' minds or before the auction or, you know, the uncapped players' minds. But it goes to tell you a story that, you know, if you have the desire and the opportunity, you never know what a young player can do. And this is what has been so successful in Pune's you know, advent to the playoffs, that Rahul Tripathi has contributed so well. He's probably, you know, in the top 4 or 5 players that have put up a performance in for their franchise. So from a franchisee perspective, bought at a very low price and delivered more than his price. So, you know, and for him, obviously a platform to showcase a special skill which can take him to places if he keeps performing in first-class cricket. So,
yeah. So, Anshuman, you know, and the redeeming feature, the fresh feature about Rahul Tripathi, the way he literally charges at fast bowlers. How does he do that?
Well, I think Sanjeev, it's a matter of confidence. You know, once you get on with the business, you have that confidence in you. You have that basic. Okay,
let me take you back in time, Anshuman. This is the opportunity we sports journalists love. You know, you've also faced some of the terrific quicks of your time. Terrific quicks. You can literally knock off a batsman. You know?
Don't remind me.
No, tell me, what is it, number one, as an unheralded batsman, somebody who just comes in immediately into a team. It could be an IPL team today, but in those years it was the Indian team or a national team for that matter. And when you face up to a terrifying fast bowler, what is the mentality which a young player has to have to be able to, you know, hold his ground?
Sanjay, to be very frank, you know, I have seen a lot of Indian batsmen or cricketers who have done extremely well at the domestic level. When you take the top 10 aggregates. Out of that, how many have been successful at the international level? Now, that is the reason. The reason is only one, that you need a very strong heart.
Very big heart.
You need to take that pressure and that standard of cricket. And you are ready to struggle and have that determination to go out there and do well. Now, that's, unless you have that, no, it's very difficult. It's very difficult to cope up with that kind of pressure.
Right. We're waiting to reconnect to Shishir. I believe we will do so in shortly. But I request my producer, one more request. Let's put up the numbers from Mahendra Singh Dhoni. For Mahendra Singh Dhoni in the playoffs. And that's what I want to pick the brains of these two gentlemen. Well, Dhoni, you know, by Dhoni's standards, one would say he's had a lackluster IPL. You know, if you look at Dhoni in the past and the IPL, and Dhoni in this IPL hasn't really set the stage on fire. But let us quickly put up the numbers. There we see in playoffs. This is Dhoni in playoffs, 14 games. I'm not sure whether this is the exact stat which needs to be put up. This is about Mahendra Singh Dhoni's performance in the playoffs. He has been, there we go. He's played 5 innings, 154 runs, an average of over 50, and a phenomenal strike rate of 163.82, and he's played 17 playoffs. Shishir, if you can hear me clearly, Mahendra Singh Dhoni will be itching to get one back at his own place in a certain sense. Wankhede literally owned it. We all remember that 6 he hit and the way he twirled his bat.
Yes, Sanjeev, I mean, I've been observant to a few great players in my time. Only observant, I reiterate, only observant. But one quality that great players have is, you know, on the big day, they seem to get up on the right side of the bed, and there's something going in them to go out there and, you know, showcase whatever special skills they have, and Dhoni is no different. He'd probably be, you know, itching. And I've been looking at records, you know, he's probably more successful at number 5 than lower down the order in terms of his contribution. So you never know, Steven Smith might have something up his sleeve and just push him up. Now that they're batting first, just push him up the order to be able to, you know, get those extra overs, because there's no question of leaving it to the end here. It's all about how many runs they pile up and how they defend. Some intuitive, innovative captaincy might come in handy for the Pune Rising team. And also the fact that these big occasions bring out something special in great players. So, while we talk about Stokes and Imran Tahir not being there at this crucial game, there's also a chance that somebody might double up, and I don't see any reason why Dhoni won't do that.
Yeah, certainly that is what a lot of people would be waiting to see. Dhoni will contrast Dhoni's numbers with Rohit Sharma's numbers, but that will be later. The interesting thing about the Anshuman, the fact that the way Pune has been performing is that they've not really relied on one or two guys to perform. You have a band of people like Rahul Tripathi has performed, Stephen Smith has done the job, Dan Christian has done the job, Washington Sundar has done the job, Jaydev Unadkar has been terrific with the ball. Manoj Tiwary has stepped in the breach whenever needed. So they have had everybody literally playing their parts in such a way that the team built up the momentum. If you see the last 10 games, they won 8 out of the last 10 games. It's an incredible streak.
Absolutely. And that's why they are there. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been there. But adding to what Shishir was saying, Sanju, I feel Dhoni is such a player. He needs to, especially we're talking at T20.
Yeah.
He needs to bat number 4, number 5, not even 5, I would say number 4.
Number 4, little higher.
Basically, because so that he gets little longer time, and he's a player. He can turn around the game.
Yeah.
Now, that is what is so important that I'm sure the team management must have thought of. And looking at the Mumbai pitch, as they say, it's a batting wicket. It's always a batting wicket. Has a good carry. You can play your shots. Outfield is fast. And that's where the Pune will have to get a larger total to defend. And that's where Dhoni had to go, and he has to go and bat up.
He has to go and bat up, and that's something they need if they are looking for a big score, because the Mumbai Indians will be coming out all guns blazing, that too on their own territory. One quick word before we hit the break, Shishir, if you're there still. Harbhajan Singh doesn't seem to be finding a place in the 11, but as far as the information I'm getting, Mitchell Mc Clenaghan, Jasprit, Bumrah, Lasith, Malinga, Parthiv Patel all back for the Mumbai Indians. The basic team is still there. We've seen the record of Bumrah and Mc Clenaghan, not only in the power play but also in the death overs. But even in the middle overs, Mumbai have had pretty decent bowling, more so in Bhaji, although he misses out, and Bumrah. So it will be a pretty interesting battle tonight.
Yeah, and I'm surprised at Sanjeev, as you said, Harbhajan not playing the big game, because let's face it, Lasith Malinga is a little off the pump, if I may say that, or take the liberty to say that. He's obviously in the twilight of his career, and he hasn't been able to fire or please the franchise as much as he has done in the last 9 years. So that's something that they will be very, very careful about. They'll be also very cautious about the way they start, because if Pune get off to a blazing start, and we've seen that in the past, that Bhaji comes in the power play and puts in his couple of overs and tries to pick up a couple of wickets. They don't have Harbhajan, as you say today, so that could be a bit of a blow to them in the context of the big occasion.
That's certainly what will count, and perhaps what might make the difference. There's lots more to talk about. In fact, you look at Mumbai Indians, there's a clutch of players like Rohit Sharma. Bhaji doesn't find a place. Pollard, Ambati Rayudu. Well, the good thing is that they have preferred to have him back in the team, again in place of Nitish Rana. One was expecting perhaps he might again lose his place. They haven't done that. And Malinga, these guys have all won 2 IPL titles each. A bunch of experience. Plus, remember, there's a bunch of talking points. So stay right here. This is the Cricket Carnival right here on NewsX. We'll be back in just a moment.
It's a good delivery, full of length. That's gone for 6 runs. It's a good delivery, full of length. That's gone for 6 runs.
Welcome back. You are still with Cricket Carnival right here on NewsX, and Anshuman Gaikwad and Shishir Hatangadi are heating it up ahead of the all-important Maharashtra derby, Mumbai Indians versus the Rising Pune Supergiants. Let's now get across to the Mumbai batting for a change. First things first, Nitish Rana, he looked to be a very, very interesting pick, Anshuman. There was a fair bit of controversy over the reason why he was not getting selected in the Delhi Ranji team. However, he was finding favour in the Mumbai Indians, started very well, 2 half centuries. lost his way, 80 odd runs in 6 innings, averaging 12 or 13. They bring back Ambati Rayudu for one game, although, you know, it was a Mumbai Indians B side, but still he performed very well. And what they've done is they have kept him today in this game.
Yeah, meaning, you know, it's again question of, you know, team combination, and it's an important game. So you can't really shuffle too many players at this juncture. But they have tried, and see, Ambati has been a good player. He has got, in the previous IPL, he got a lot of runs. And this season, unfortunately, he didn't do that well, except the last game. But he's a player who can get runs and play long innings and create partnerships now and rotate strike. That's very, very important, by which your scoreboard keeps ticking all the time. Now, that's what he's capable of, and that's what Mumbai Indians require now. You know, and because Nitish is not getting runs, he's, you know, out of form. So, probably, that's the best choice they had.
Right. Let us get the numbers, the special numbers for Rohit Sharma up on our screens. And I'll get both Shishir and Anshuman to talk about it. This is Rohit Sharma's record as far as playing in the playoffs is concerned. A pretty average record. 12 innings, 12 hits, 159 runs, averaging less than 15, although strike rate of 101.27. Anshuman, he has some catching up to do. He has to improve his record as far as the playoffs is concerned. Perhaps he starts tonight.
Well, time up. He better come to a party, because if he doesn't do it now, it'll be probably too late. The thing is, you know, it's not only his batting. I don't know what happens to him. He bats well and he gets out badly. Now, that's one thing which he has to sort out himself. Nobody can help him out in that regard. Plus, let's not forget, he's a captain. So he has that added responsibility, and he has to lead from the front. Now, if he has to do that, he has to get runs.
He has to get runs.
And if he gets runs, I'm sure Mumbai Indians will be one step further.
Yeah, and if Rohit Sharma gets runs, in the way, he can only get runs in only one
he's,
game.
he's such a player,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, Sanju, he's such a great timer of the ball. He's got tremendous shots, variety of shots, and he has so much time to play the ball.
Yeah.
Now, when you have, it's sign of a great batsman. Now, if you have done that earlier, why not now?
Right. Lazy elegance, as the most journalists will call it, but there's reason behind it. Let me get Shishir onto this. Shishir, of course, you always bat. Your heart bats for Mumbai. You always bat for Mumbai Indians. And I can see, is that a blue or a black you're wearing? What are you wearing today? Is that a blue? I can't see you on the monitor. What color are you wearing?
Blue. But I'll tell you, Sanjeev.
Yeah.
Sanjeev, I must tell you, I'll use my blue, only
Yeah.
blue. That's the only one I can afford. I don't have too many. But the point I'm trying to make, Sanjeev, is that, you know, I'll use my signature line for Rohit Sharma, and you heard it many a time in the past. That, you know, when he plays well, we say wow, and when he gets out, we say how. We ask how, and that's the enigma of Rohit Sharma. But, you know, I want to just make a point on Nitish Rana, which you discussed. You know, I think it's the theatre of the absurd. You know, you invest in somebody to play hero in the trailer, and when it comes to the real movie, you replace him. I mean, you invested so much time. Yeah, and T20 is also all about, you know, taking a few risks. So if you really believe that Ambati Rayudu was your man, why didn't you give him more games? I find it very hard to fathom that a good player, if he's a good player and you want to back him, then you back him at the moments where he deserves more practice. Not when the stage is set for the playoffs.
Shishir, I'm headed for a T20-like finish. I've got 3 more questions to ask you, but I have only 40 seconds for both of you guys to answer. First, you, Anshuman Gaikwad, what are you expecting? Another controversy from Kieran Pollard tonight? Pollard?
Well, under the pressure, anything can happen.
Anything can happen? Kuch bhi ho sakta hai?
Kuch bhi ho sakta hai.
Shishir, Mumbai Meri Jaan, as they say. Will Pollard make them sing? Pollard Meri Jaan tonight? Quick. No, today will be all about Pollard's range and nothing more. Range, R-A-N-G. Final question. What sort of total are you expecting Pune to put up? Because that which will be good enough for them to defend.
On this Wankhede wicket, I think anywhere 180 plus.
180 plus.
They have to do that if they want to win this match and put pressure on Mumbai. 180
plus. It looks to be a very, very interesting game. On that note, we are about to wrap up. It's always nice to have both your guests from the West Zone, Anshuman Gaikwad as well as Shishir Adangani. So we will not have much of a collision as far as, you know, arguments or debates are concerned. Remember, after all, this is just a cricket show. We'll be back tomorrow, same time. Till then, keep watching. Good night.
6 runs.
This program is co-presented by Lovely Professional